knowledge of machine learning to be able to upload images and upload documents and spreadsheets into our automated machine learning through Power Apps, and then be able to use machine learning to predict something without being a data scientist. Power BI user today can do the same thing. They can run their data set in Power BI through an automated machine learning model and have those predictions automatically refresh for them without having to know anything about artificial intelligence. So when we want to think about the transformation, it's how can we really transform the business at scale? And it's not just for data scientists or data engineers. Structure. Okay, so from a structure perspective, there are various different operating models that we might want to look at in terms of a business, in terms of how can we facilitate the consumption and flow of data, how can we become more self-service, how can we increase our data maturity. There's really sort of three main models that I see. One is completely decentralized, and this is more typical of very large, geographically dispersed organizations. Microsoft used to be here. There's very centralized, which is sort of mid-market enterprise customers that are not that geographically dispersed, where they centralize all of their data activities into a central team. There are pros and cons to these approaches. With completely decentralized, it's kind of the Wild West, right? Everyone's out there doing their own thing, creating their own data sets, having their own databases, their own data warehouses, etc. So there's a lot of data silos out there. There's no centralized policies, etc. But one of the benefits of this, especially if you're a very large organization that's geographically dispersed, is you can get things done quickly. For example, at Microsoft, if I had to go to a central team every time I needed data, which would probably be based in the US, then that would not be very agile at all. It would be very slow. But on the flip side, centralized is what a lot of customers are using. They have central data, central BI teams. They handle a lot of the requests, and then they process those requests. They build dashboards, they do data engineering, etc. A lot of customers fit into here. The disadvantage of this is things can get slow. There can be a central team can get overwhelmed. There can be issues with prioritization. Some stakeholders in the business may feel that their issues are not being addressed, etc. So there are some disadvantages to the centralized model as well. What we're seeing a lot of is this hybrid model emerging, which is a combination of these two, where you still have a centralized team and they set the policy, they set the rules, they set the guardrails, they set the boundaries. They may do some of the high value or very difficult data engineering tasks, but where possible, they are enabling self-service to the business. So someone in finance can access raw data, they can do their own transformation, they can do what they need, and they're working within this guardrail. They don't have to go to central IT. In Microsoft today, we're pretty well in this hybrid bucket. It's very rare that you have to go to central IT to get anything done, especially when it comes to data today inside of Microsoft. There's not only us, there's a lot of customers I talk to are moving to this model as well. Even smaller customers, the hub of the hybrid model is the central team and the spokes. Finance could be a spoke, and then HR could be a spoke in this hybrid model that have some manner of self-service. Community is an interesting one. I'm not seeing it widely adopted. However, one interesting thing about community is I'm seeing, particularly when it comes to artificial intelligence, more and more crowdsourcing happening. AI, accuracy in AI is kind of a function of numbers, right? The bigger your data set or the more you've got, the more accurate it's going to be. And I've seen a lot of crowdsourcing happening now, even inside of enterprises where they're going out and crowdsourcing models, getting models built. They send it out to thousands and thousands of different people to go and who can give us the best scored model, they'll win the award. So it's kind of an interesting one that we're seeing develop a lot more. So this is the hub and spoke model. This is kind of where organizations are going to today if they're not there already. And in this, the hub, like I said, this is where your centralized analytics team is, or at least your center of excellence sits in here. The spokes can be your divisions. They can also be different geographic locations. They have a subject matter expert, a data owner, etc., that understands their data inside of each of these spokes. And the gray area is how much control